Hold on, I gotta do an intro. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Gall Racing headquarters. Today, I thought it'd be really cool to share the story of Old Black. This is the car that started it all for us. Black 64 Chevelle, and I figured I'd give you guys a little bit of a background story on that today and share what Old Black really means to us. But first, let me give you a quick update on the hot rods. As you can see, we have the cars completely stripped down. We are getting ready to go to chassis certification day, which is going to be happening next weekend. So all the panels are taken off of the cars, as you can tell. We've just been kind of cleaning them up, checking them over, making sure that we're not going to find any stress cracks or other issues like that crack that we had on my car earlier last year. I'll leave a link in the description to that video, show you guys kind of what happened. We were doing some welding at the racetrack. I did touch up the paint job a little bit here yesterday, as you can see, a little rattle can action. Other than that, we are getting close on the cars. Yesterday we changed out brakes on the old man's car, finished up a couple things there. The old man does have his aluminum 565 pulled out. That is the aluminum 565 big block Chevrolet that the old man has been running for the last 2 years now. We pulled that one out. He does have the second 565. This one is not aluminum, this one is steel. This one is fresh. He did install it in and it is ready to go for this year. Probably gonna tear down the aluminum one and freshen it up, but we're gonna put a couple weekends on this one first before we tear that one apart, just to make sure this is good and we don't need to swap the aluminum one back in for any reason like that. So, steel 565, big block Chevrolet, ready to go in the old man's car. Of course, you guys know all about that 421 small block in my car that we've been working on this winter. She is about ready to go, and I'll tell you what, last video we talked a little bit about these headers, and look at how this paint dried. I don't get it. We used this same can and did all the same process, and this ended up being like way more dull than this. So I'm probably gonna repaint these. I'm not sure what happened there, but they did not dry the same. So a little bit more work to do on the headers. One other update on my car is the radiator situation not going as good as we planned. If you guys remember from the last video, we did change out these bungs so we could put some larger lines into our radiator. We ran out of argon when we were welding it and ended up having all kinds of grief with welding these. I mean, we're not like TIG welding experts here, right? But we made the repair on the radiator, everything looked good, but when we went to pressure test it, we actually found that the actual radiator had some leaks. Like the main core of the radiator actually had some leaks. It wasn't any of the part that we welded or anything. So we just decided, you know what, this radiator is not in the greatest shape of all time. So we just decided to order a new radiator. So new radiator is on the way, even though we just put a bunch of work into this one. So once the radiator is here and done and installed, we should be able to finish this 421 install. What kind of race car do you want? A what?
A little one.
A little one? A little junior dragster? That's what you want someday? What color is yours gonna be?
Pink.
You want a pink junior dragster? What about a black race car? So this is Old Black. This is like the car that started it all for us. At least it was the first car that I'd ever been down the quarter mile in. But you raced, what did you race first?
Just my 70 Chevelle a couple times at high school days. Other than that, this was the first race car. I wanted a lighter car. 70 Chevelle's pretty heavy, and I found this one. Some guy was cutting it up to make a dirt track car out of it and gave up on it. It sat in the shed for 15 years.
And like what year was this? Was this like you were in high school still?
1981.
This is your graduation present from your old man, right?
Yep.
So was it just the body when you got it?
Paid $1,000 for it. Dad thought it was $500 more than it was worth. He wasn't real happy about it, but I got to pick my graduation present, so did Julie, my sister. So
I remember, you know, growing up, I stayed at my grandma's house a lot, and my old man would always tell me this story about how there's this big tree with like this little doodly-doo a branch coming off of the tree, and they'd always have like a chain hooked to it, and that's where you'd be yanking motors out of cars all the time, right? So, and you painted this car way back in the day, right?
you know, me and my college roommate and best friend from high school, he was taking auto body, so we painted it out at his parents' house in their attached garage. Their parents tolerated a lot. Started racing more full-time, I suppose, in '83.
How many championships do you think you won with this car back in the day?
I don't know. I don't know how many it even says on here.
I think
1,
that
2,
this
3, 4. I don't know, there might have been a 5th one that didn't get put on when we built a different car, but I don't remember.
is this like 89 and 93 or all of those years?
No, it's individual years.
Okay, so it's just
Yeah.
they're telling
I think
yeah.
anyway. I don't know. The guy that
It's hard to keep track when you win as much as this
no,
guy.
it's just that long ago.
Yeah, right.
No, I don't. Never did keep track back then.
I think there's probably some missing off of there. What was the combination in this car for the brunt of the years?
Just 350, 30 over 350 with steel heads and everything else. Then we finally got a set of aluminum heads. I think I painted Dad's 64 El Camino black for him, and he bought me the first set of Blem aluminum heads that we had. Because every year we were trying to find other heads because they kept breaking all the time. It was a high 11 second car. First year I raced it, it was like a 1220 car or something, and then we finally got decent heads and stuff, and it was high 11 to mid 11, you know, most of the time.
Back in the day, that was probably screaming. You think that 86 was the first year you won?
No, that was the year they only had like 9 races at Marion, and we won like 7 of them.
And you would pull to, this was before they had ladders, so then you would like pull to the head of the staging lanes like right when they called, and
over
then
noon, I would go, I'd leave my car there over noon.
and nobody, he'd pull his car up in the staging lanes over noon, and then no one would want to pull up beside him because he had been on such a tear, and he won like 7 of the 9 races they had that year or something, so that was pretty impressive. So then fast forward, this was like the first car that I ever raced. We had like I want to say like a 360-inch motor or some different odd.
9/16 stroke crank, because I had that left laying here from something else. It's a 371 actually.
It was like low 11s at that point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was my first ever race car was that setup. I never raced junior dragster or anything like that. It was all black. And I remember the very, very first time that I went down the quarter mile, I was in the passenger seat of this car. This guy was driving it, and he took it down the quarter mile, and I'm sitting there. And in my head, I'm like, oh man.
When we came back, you got out of the car and you told me, you said, Dad, I don't think I can do this.
I was thinking in my head, I was like, I'm going to disappoint the old man because I don't think I can do this. I don't think I can do this. This is extreme. The amount of suspension travel and the noise and just hitting your head back against the seat. I mean, it was way more than I expected my very, very first time down the track. And I remember, sitting in that seat, I was twiddling my thumbs. I was like, oh gosh, I'm going to have to tell my old man. It's like, no, I don't think I can do it. I don't think I can do it. But we did it, and I did race this car for 1 year.
And 3 passes later, you went faster in the car than I did.
Yeah. Well, in the first pass, I couldn't reach the pedal good enough. My very first pass, I remember that I couldn't get the pedal all the way down, the gas pedal, so it was a little slow, and everybody was giving me grief. I was like, whatever, I had the thing floored the whole time, but we ended up having to weld an extension onto the gas pedal, I think, so that I could actually get the car floored. What are the plans for this car this year, Dad?
Well, I'd like to go super stock racing. I wanted to do that my whole life with it. There's different classifications according to your engine and transmission combination, basically. You can put different engines in it. I want to go with an original type. This is going to be a 327, 250 horse engine, and then NHRA classifies what that horsepower rating should be, and you have to figure out the combination versus the weight of what the car is supposed to be, and that'll give you an index you have to run, and you have to be under that index or be able to dial it under it anyway. Basically a bracket race once you're in, unless you meet a car of the same class, then it's heads up.
What class do you think, are you thinking this is going to be?
Oh, maybe L.
Super stock L. We bracket raced this car for many years, so hardly any interior left in it. Inner fenders are missing, all kinds of stuff like that we have to put back pretty much to meet all the rules of running super stock.
Can't have a hood scoop anymore, so we got to put a flat hood back on it, put the inner fenders back on, put some interior pieces back in it. Other than that, the car would have worked, but we're putting four-wheel disc brakes on it now because all the brakes were shot from sitting so long. Just be a lot nicer and lighter. Other than that, the car's pretty much all there yet.
2008 and 2009 tech inspection stickers on the window. So it must have been a while since she's been at the track. How much of a pain is it to get headers to fit in this car?
The problem is everything is made to have the starter moved in with a small flywheel. I can't do that with the oil pan I have. So I had to ding the one tube here a little bit. I don't like the idea too much, but
that's what you have to do to make it fit.
yeah. Either that or I gotta get a different oil pan, and I have about 14 hours into Frankenstein in this one to fit in the car as it is. So I wanted to try and use the pan.
Frankenpan. Hard to get a good shot of the Frankenpan, but there's definitely a lot going on there. Holy smokes.
I'm welded for hours. A lot of the super stockers actually cut the frame off and box the pan out way deeper. But on the Chevelle, the steering is in the way anyway. So you know, and there are guys that change steering and all kinds of stuff too, but I'm still a beginner. I just want to try to see what the car is going to do first, and then we'll go into those hundreds. Put a different fuel cell and fuel pump in it, all new fuel lines and all new brake lines on the whole car. Everything's going to be, just try to make it safer, better.
Old Black is back and better than ever. I actually gave my wife a ride in this car. She wasn't my wife at the time, but she was my girlfriend, and I got to strap her into the passenger seat and give her a ride down the quarter mile.
I don't know, it was fun.
Was it what you expected?
No.
Did you bang your head against the back at all?
No, because somebody
Dang
gave
it,
me a tip to
gosh.
get my head back up.
I was really trying to get her with that. If you ever give anybody a ride in your vehicle, don't tell them to keep their head back. You want them to bang their head against the back of the seat. That's half of the fun. Got to surprise them a little bit. Of course, someone ruined it for Amanda. Maybe that's why she wasn't so impressed. There's so many memories behind this. I mean, like, a lot of racing families have, like, this one car that kind of started it all, and that's what all the memories are tied to, and this is definitely that car for us. Like, for me, I remember growing up as just a little tyke at the racetrack, watching my old man race this car weekend after weekend, and I just vividly remember every single Sunday morning I get dropped off at my grandma and grandpa's house here in town, and then they'd take me to church, and we'd go to church, and then we'd head over to Parks, and we'd eat at Boom's restaurant every single morning, and then after we're done eating at Boom's, we were heading to the racetrack. My dad was already at the racetrack, had done his time trials and everything, and we'd get there, and I'd run over to Dad and say, like, hey, Dad, did you win? Did you win your time trials? And Dad's like, you don't really win your time trials, Tom. I'm like, I know, but did the win light come on for you? And I'd ask these stupid questions because I didn't know any better, but I vividly remember all these trips. You go, Grandma's house, church, Boom's, to the racetrack, watching the old man take Old Black down the track. I just remember it. And so that's kind of the story of Old Black. I just wanted to share that with you guys as kind of how this whole operation got started for us. There you have it, guys. That is the story of Old Black. I've been wanting to share that with you guys for quite a while. Can't wait to get some more footage of this car this summer on the racetrack. Let me know down below, are you guys excited to see this car back on the track? Because I definitely know that I am. I definitely know the old man is. So thank you guys so much for all the support, for checking out the channel. Let me know down in the comments, what do you guys think about Old Black? I'll see you guys in the next one. Later. That one's easy to turn, right? It's not hooked to anything. How fast are you going?
Really fast. Really fast race car. Oh, brown. Fast race car. I'm gonna win. They're not.